Okay. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 6, 7, 9. That's how I feel right now. You know why? My brain is fucked. Just kidding. Good morning, New Yorkers. How are we doing? How are we feeling? I am taking this experience. If you're watching on visual, you can probably already see what's happening. Also, if you clicked on the title of this episode, you're getting a little bit of a gist of what I'm talking about. I feel like, excuse me, this is probably what it's like to live in New York City. You live in a shoebox, and your only way really to like get on your feet and move is to go out in the public eye of everyone else. That's how I feel experiencing living out of my vehicle. Now, I am being a little bit dramatic. I am somewhat couch surfing, so I'm having places to stay at night. You might be wondering, Sadie, how did you get yourself in this situation? And let me just tell you one fucking thing. I know, I'm going to start off by saying this. I know I'm very blessed. I know I have way more things than I need in my life. Really, I do. I have a lot more than I necessarily need to survive. With that being said, I think I get thrown the most curveballs of anyone I know. I'm not kidding, guys. I swear. I don't know if it's like a luck thing. I think I got very lucky with where I wound up today. But when I say I have the shittiest luck on the court, okay, on the court of the everyday life, I swear to God I do. I say it all the time. I think God does this stuff to like for me to laugh at and for me to be entertaining or for me to go through hardships and be like, okay, what? And I know people are like, shut the hell up, bitch. Like, you're literally fine. But it's an emotional roller coaster what I've been through, okay? Okay, I'm a girl. Let me be a girl, whatever. I know I'm privileged and this is actually realistically life for some people. And so I want to start off by saying I know that like I'm not trying to be serious of like, oh my God, this is awful. Honestly, I'm trying to laugh through it. The biggest thing I've dealt with is the emotional mentalness of it. So once again, back to the question. What led to you living out of your vehicle? As you guys know, and if you're new here, hello, welcome to the pod. This is called Was That TMI? We're supposed to be here every Tuesday. We definitely have not achieved that yet. We've been doing better. Same with the YouTube channel where I used to vlog all the time. I used to vlog like 2 times a week. We're getting better there. We're coming back to about 3 times monthly. So round of applause. Thank you guys very much. Your support helps me do it. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I had went to a college football game. It was Alabama versus Georgia. I live in Florida with my parents. This is just for who's new here, guys, okay? I know you're sick of hearing it. Well, I actually don't anymore. I lived with a D. By the way, I haven't had any in over a year still. I've lived with my parents for my whole life. Literally my whole life. I grew up in North Atlanta, Georgia, suburbs. We moved down to Florida when I graduated high school. We had a rental for about 2 years. My parents were building their dream home about an hour away from the beach in North Florida. They built it. They had a guest bedroom upstairs that's almost like a little attic in itself, has its own bathroom and closet. I was like, shit, I'm taking this hoe. They allowed me to. Thank you very much. My parents, I don't want to say they wanted me out. I think my dad personally would like for me to live at home forever. I think that I also didn't grow up with a ton of money, and that's something that's very, I think, misunderstood sometimes. I paid for my first car. If I had went to school, my parents would have found a way to make it work, but I was like nannying when I was 14, 15. Yeah, 14, maybe 15. I couldn't drive yet. I was nannying. We didn't have there were some Christmases where my parents struggled. My dad's worked for a company, like a cell phone company his whole life, or wireless company. It's AT&T. His whole life, or I guess since he started working, since he's known my mom, he's worked for them before, even when it was called Bell South. This is going off into something different, but I'm just trying to explain, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. Like, the money that I'm able to make by just making videos and doing this stuff online was very shocking for us all when it started happening. And I don't know, I guess with that being said, like I said, my parents would love for me to live with them, I think, forever. But I understood, and I do understand, I'm living with them for free. And I guess I don't want to like talk too much about it because it's like, I guess their personal business and stuff. But I just kind of have had feelings that they've a little bit wanted me out, which I think is fair. And I think that I am only 21. I just turned 21. But at the same time, I've almost been living like a post grad for the past like 3-ish years with them. So I do kind of understand it. And they are so loving and they are like, door is always open. But you know, when you have those feelings and you're an adult and you're no longer like their actual child, it's hard. And then also, I would even complain sometimes and like talk about, oh, I don't like living here because it's in the middle of nowhere. But doing social media, you don't necessarily know where to move unless you can listen to the agents and the managers. You need to move to LA. You need to move to New York. Well, as someone who just turned 21, who didn't go to college, didn't get that experience, has lived at home, has almost been like sheltered because my life is behind a camera and behind a screen. That's fucking terrifying. And I know you have to just like make jumps sometimes, but especially doing it alone. I don't have a friend going with me. I don't necessarily have a roommate to go with, anything like that. I do want to go out and meet people and do stuff like that. So I need to. But, you know, that was always the struggle with living at home and in Florida. And it was almost like I had the best of both worlds because I could go home to my parents' house, work, be in my routine, do my own thing. We're an hour away from the beach. I love the beach. And then on the weekends or when traveling things came up, I could just go travel. The winters there, though, do suck, and it's depressing. We live in an area that, like I said, it's very secluded from everywhere else. There's not a lot going on. And then also, like, the beach towns, I live in north enough Florida to where the weather is almost pretty similar to what it gets to in Atlanta. I wouldn't say it gets as cold, but, you know, if it's not warm enough to go outside and lay in the sun and go to the beach, that's what I do outdoors. So, and there's not like, you know, hiking or anything like that. It's kind of like you have the beach. So in the winter months when that's not available and you live in the middle of nowhere, the loneliness is almost like times 10. So I've always said in the wintertime, I want to leave. Last winter, I went down to Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter, Florida is literally where I want to reside. I want to have a home there one day. I would love to probably raise a family there one day. I like the ocean. I like being near the beach. The one thing about Florida is once you're down there, you're fucking down there. And that kind of sucks. Like even right now with all this hurricane stuff and everyone having to evacuate Tampa, I was literally on my phone last night at like 3 a.m. on TikTok searching up like can't get out of Tampa because I was like, oh my God, like if there's any way I could get someone a flight or like help them get out of there. When you leave Florida, there's one fucking door. There's one door out of Florida. And people do say that's the scariest part is like, if everyone in Florida had to evacuate for some catastrophic reason, there is one way out. And it's creepy. It's scary. So that's the one thing about like South Florida or whatever. By the way, I want to say my prayers go out to anyone's families or just anyone overall who's been affected by the hurricane. It's so sad. I really, really want to go up to the North Carolinas and like East Tennessee and stuff like that because obviously I can't go alone, but I've been talking to a few of my guy friends who said that they would possibly go with me. They're saying they need help with people on feet. I've been in contact with one guy on TikTok who's up there and like seeing it all, and he's going to give me a list of supplies to read on TikTok that they need. It's hard because it's like when you're not there, you don't really know like what necessarily you can do other than just donate, but it's bad. Like it's really, really bad, and it's so scary to see these people get online and say the government isn't helping. Like that's like I don't understand what's going on, but they're getting online and they're saying that. They're saying no one's here, no one's helping. They're saying they're bringing food, they're not. They're saying they're bringing supplies, they're not. It's scary. My prayers go out to all of those people affected. It's been the people up north did not see it coming, and that's the scariest part. If you don't know what happened, basically a dam broke, and because of all the rainfall and water from the Hurricane Helene, the dam broke, and it basically just like flooded the towns. Like the people who experienced it said it was literally like they were just sitting in their houses and it was like a tsunami came, and they're not by the ocean, like it was a dam. So it's just it's awful, and my prayers go out to them, and I pray that everyone in Tampa got out of Tampa. Tampa's about if this Hurricane Milton, that's actually where I live, the city where I lived with my parents, if Hurricane Milton keeps on the path it's going and is as strong as it's going to be, it's going to be really bad for Tampa. And it's just awful. I don't think we've ever seen hurricanes like this. I don't understand what's going on. I think it's just like the weather and the heat. People have like theories that the government is doing this, that literally the government is like forming these hurricanes and stuff. I have no idea, but like I said, my prayers go out to everyone, and I promise you, I hate to say it, but like I do believe that some like this stuff happens for a reason. I don't know why, and I know I'm not in the position to like experience it and then still believe that, but I feel like the only thing you can hold on to in those times is like faith and stuff. So it's awful. But back to what I was talking about. Back in March, I went down to Jupiter, and I stayed in an Airbnb down there by myself. I'm familiar with the Jupiter area because my grandpa actually went and visited down there a lot and has friends down there. So I've met some of his like friends and stuff that live down there. And then also my friend Ford, he has like a family over there. So his grandparents live over there. They have a boat there. His parents actually lived there for a little bit. So I'm familiar with the area, and I know a few people down there. They are younger and they're in school. So like, I don't know friends, but I do know some people down there. And so I went down. I had drove past a few like places I found on Zillow. I got in contact with a realtor because I was going to rent down there for like a month at a time. And I toured a few places, and I don't know what it was. I got this like no in my brain the second time I went down there and toured a few places. Like I just had something in my head being like, nope, this isn't the move. Don't know why, don't know for what, but I just felt like it wasn't the right move to move down there. And so I did have a mental breakdown. I have these midlife crisis mental breakdowns about 3 times a year. This one was pretty bad. Also, me and my mom were fighting. Me and Kelbell, we're like best friends, and we're kind of like sisters. She is my mom, but we fight a lot because I think our relationship is a lot different than just like a straight mother-daughter. It's like we're friends. So we do argue a lot, and then we also love each other a lot, and we like love spending time together. But you know, it's hard when you're living with someone, you guys love each other, but then you also argue, and we work together. So it's like, it just got to be a lot. And I remember last March, I was like, all right, I'm going to go home and I'm going to thug it out, and I'm just going to enjoy life there. I travel so much, so I'm just going to like wait out the rest of the year, the rest of the summer, and then I'll make a decision when I turn 21 about where I want to go. Well, come like April, May-ish, I want to say, I was up in Georgia. I remember I made my podcast about having toxic relationships, and I was like, so I'm up in Georgia, and I was so happy. And I also went through a breakup like last year at this time, so the winter was a little bit bumpy for me. And you know, when you're dating someone and you're very, very close with them, and you're almost like living with them in a sense, like you're doing, like your life is based around being with them, it's hard to like rebuild your own after that. So that was also something I was like dealing with mentally. Long story short though, come like April, May of this year, actually, I was up in Georgia. I was visiting friends, and I had kind of finally started to feel like a lot better. And I was going out all the time. One of my friends was single, and like we would just have so much fun going out and like talking to guys and like being funny. That's like my favorite thing to do ever. I feel like I'm going to be single probably for a while, and I enjoy going out and like meeting new people. It's my favorite thing to do. And I feel like when you have a boyfriend, sometimes that's really hard because guys are so like at this age and controlling, and I feel like all my boyfriends just get really fucking jealous and think I'm like flirting with everyone else, and that's something I can't deal with right now. So I just don't want that. But long story short, I was having fun up here because I had like a single friend and just like whatever. Well, I then was like, I'm gonna move up here. Like I'm 100%. Sorry, I keep burping. I've been farting. I didn't want to talk about my bowel movements right when the pod started, but when I tell you guys, I used to have such bad chronic like stomach issues, and like my stomach always hurt. I always was like having to run to the bathroom, like always had stomach issues. Then I started like eating healthier. Like I would actually watch what I ate, and I would eat from home. my stomach issues literally went away. Like, I would still even eat out sometimes and like I wouldn't have a stomach ache. I think it was a lot due to stress, honestly. Like, I think that literally my stomach problems, and they do say that stomachs, like, it's your stress affects your stomach. I really have to poop. I'm gonna have to go inside and poop. They do say though that like stress can affect your stomach a lot, and my stomach has not been good since I've been to Georgia this time around, and I'm like, oh my god, it's literally stress. Okay, I'm gonna pause really quick. I'm gonna go inside and use the restroom, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry. See what I was talking about? My stomach, I've been like stressed these past few days. I haven't been eating very clean, and I don't get a warning sign. It's like, you need to go now. So that's what we did. The Ingles bathroom is really fire, by the way. So where I grew up, we have like Kroger and Publix, I guess, are our main grocery stores. But there's also Ingles. Ingles is so nice. I was in there and I was like, damn, no one comes in here. Like, I was watching them cut up the meat. And I think it's just because it's really old people that work in there. And it's kind of like, ugh. But very clean place. The people were super nice and no one's ever in there. So maybe we'll do an Ingles vlog one day. Back to where I was, though. I think I was back at how when I was up here before summer, kind of just like experiencing what it's like to live in Georgia. But I will say, I was still kind of living like this. Like, I had a suitcase in the back of my car and some other clothes back there and shoes. And I would like sleep at my friends' houses. I was kind of going back and forth to other places. Literally had all my workout stuff. I was moving my workout stuff every day to go work out. But like, I wasn't getting the full experience of living here. I knew I liked it here. I knew I had things to do. But the thing about this place too, and I feel like this is anywhere you live, you can experience a week of having a bunch of shit to do, but then you could experience 3 weeks of not having anything to do. So that's like the thing that's always played in my mind is I don't want to move back to my hometown and be fucking miserable. And I know it's kind of like you have to just try things. So this is where I get on that. My brother plays baseball. He was in his off season. He wants to live up here because he wants to train up here. His friends are up here. He thinks that where we live in Florida sucks. So he was like, I want to find a place to live up there. And I was like, you know what? Let's find like an Airbnb or something on Furnish Finder, which is where like I think a lot of nurses find homes. Because you can just like find furnished places to live for like a few months at a time. So we found a place. We kind of went back and forth on renting it for a little while. And then finally I was like, let's just do it. The whole month of October we'll be up there. So we rent it and it was available October 1st. Well, September like 26th was the Alabama game. So I drive up, I go to the Bama game, I spend the weekend there, I drive back home. I had to pack up all of my stuff and I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I feel like after the month of living there, I'm going to really like it. So I'm going to pack up everything. I obviously don't have my bed and my desk and all of my dressers and stuff, but I packed up like all my clothes, all of my stuff. I'm supposed to take like 3 different trips this month. I'm supposed to go to Nashville this weekend, Boston next week. I was maybe going to go to Tampa. I know I have to go back to Nashville at the end of the month for Halloween. So I was like, okay, if I'm up here for the whole month, I need all my fucking shit. So I'm kind of in Florida and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm traveling this whole month anyways. Why am I even going to, like, it's going to take time to get all my shit and go up there and then unpack it all in this house that I'm going to have to repack it all back up to go somewhere else. Like, what's the fucking point of this shit? And I was kind of getting aggravated and already going into it in a bad mood, which is never a good thing. You should never do that. And so it's, I want to say October 2nd or 3rd, and Wyatt had been in the house for like a few days and he was like, yeah, this place is great. Like, it's awesome. So I come up and I get here on Wednesday night of last week. I get there at night, I go in, I see the place, I see where it is like located, and I was like, I'm not going to feel comfortable here by myself. My brother, hate to shit on him, but you guys I think know we've never really had the best relationship, and you know what, it's my life so I can talk about it. Never really had the best relationship, and as we've gotten older, I think we've both matured past like holding grudges and being assholes to each other, but we're definitely not like friends. I don't think he's a fan of me, and I'll say that to anyone. I just don't think he really likes me, and that's fine. We have very different personalities, but you know, he's not like worried about whether I like it or not. So I get there, I'm kind of like, shit, like, I don't think I can stay here all month. I'm looking at like the closet, and it was a little bit catfish. Like, it was a little bit catfished. I'm looking at the closet, I'm looking at the rooms, I'm looking at the bathroom, and I'm like, I don't want to bring all of my stuff in here. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, if I was given the house unfurnished and like I had to furnish it, obviously it's a roof over my head. I can make what I want out of it. But when it's like other people's furniture and space and like desks and things, you can't really make it your own. You can the best you can. But I was just like, I will have a better mental health productive month if I literally drove back to Florida right now and stayed the month in Florida. Like, I would rather take the 5 hours, take the fucking 2 hours to get all my shit back inside, and spend the next 35 days there than spend the next 35 days in this home. And so it was like, it was frustrating, but then I also know, like, I feel like a even complaining about it because I know that there's way worse going on in the world. But I was kind of just like, all right, shit. And the reason we were doing it for 30 days is because I was smart, and I was like, if we get there and it's a shithole, I don't want to have it rented for fucking 3 months. And then I also was like, if I like living up here for 30 days, I'll either look into buying something or getting an apartment. And so I was kind of just like frustrated. Well, that night I slept there, and the next day I wake up, Wyatt wasn't there. He had gone with his friends, God knows where, I don't even know. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to get my stuff and I'm going to get out of here. So I got my stuff, I packed up my bags, and I went over and I toured some apartment buildings nearby. And I toured some apartments. I wasn't really loving it. Like, I was just kind of like, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I'm really looking for. You know, the shortest lease for an apartment, I think, is like 6 months, and rent is really expensive right now. Part of the reason why I was kind of just like, I just want to Airbnb and try it for a month. I looked at more Airbnbs. You can't find any Airbnbs that are more than like 2 bedrooms that are less than fucking $5,000. It's insane. And I'm just like, you know, I have a home. Like, that's the way I think about it, is I'm like, I have a place I can go back to and live at and travel and do what I'm doing. Yes, maybe it's not the exact location I want, but for the meantime, until I find somewhere I'm like super excited about going, I can go home. So, sorry, this is bad. I go and I get a hotel for the night, and I'm in the hotel and I'm trying to just like, you know, laugh it off. I'm like, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. It's going to be cool. And I told myself in the hotel, all right, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go look at more places. I had myself a night. I went and got myself a steak. I went and got some wine. I drank the whole bottle. I actually had a friend come over who was dealing with some stuff, talked to them for a little bit. I was just like chilling. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, this was ass, but we're going to figure it out. So the next day I go and I tour some more apartments. I'm looking at them and I'm like, I just wasn't feeling it. And I try and listen to my gut so much. And like, I have been praying on it because I'm like, something's going to feel right. Like, people always say to me, nothing's going to feel right for you, because I'm so indecisive and I'm so bad at making decisions and like committing to things. But when it feels right, I do. And I really like stand by my word on that. I just really listen to my gut and like my intuition. And so it didn't feel right, like I said. So I didn't really know what I was going to do. Obviously, I can go stay at my friends' houses if I want to, but they have their own lives. And it does feel like, I know I'm probably just overthinking it and they don't see it as anything. But, you know, I feel like I'm stepping on people's toes a little bit. And I feel like I'm overstaying my welcome. Like, when I was up here last May and April or whatever months I was literally couch surfing my friends' houses. And like, it was like my friends' parents' houses and stuff. And, you know, you just feel like after a while, you feel a little bit bad being a grown adult. I had a mental breakdown the day before, and I think it was over just like, I was so overstimulated by like, okay, I don't like the Airbnb. I'm now have all my shit in here. I'm going to like tour apartments. I felt disgusting. I wanted to shower, do my hair. Like, I was just a mess. Had a mental breakdown, but like was kind of pushing through. Drank my bottle of wine, slept in the nice hotel. I love that hotel so much. The next day I went and toured more apartments. Didn't really like them. Came back to the hotel because I had it for an extra day. And that's when I'm just going to say it flat out, because maybe it's just me being dramatic, but whatever. That's when I gave a call home and I was like, I think I need to come home because I don't really see anything else that's looking upwards right now. I wasn't told not to come home, but I was kind of like I think my parents were like, I think they just want me to find where I'm happy. And I feel like they do kind of feel like you could be doing more than being here. I don't know. Like, they're so loving, they're so kind, but I feel like the reason I want to talk about it is because I feel like it's a relatable thing for young adults. When you feel like there's even a little inkling of like you're stepping on someone's toes or you're overstaying your welcome, you're like, fuck, in your own brain. Like, you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. And then you start overthinking it. Literally, I'm not kidding. One of my friends that lives in my hometown, I grew up with him, just said the same thing happened to him. Like, he was like, like my parents made a little bit of comments and they weren't like, get the fuck out, but they were just, like a few comments were made to where I was like, oh shit, like, I probably should get out. And he did the same thing. Like, his car is packed up right now with all of his stuff. Just because I think when you're an overthinker, you feel bad. You feel like, I can answer that later. You just feel bad. And that's kind of how I felt with going home. Like, I was like, I feel bad now going home. I don't know. So, mental breakdown, because I was like, okay, that was the last time I'm ever going to live at my house. Like, that was the last time I'll ever live with my parents, probably. Maybe not. But in my mind, I was just like, wow, this is growing up. Like, I'm grown. Like, I'm out. I'm not going to live with my family again. And to me, guys, like, family is literally everything. And I think, like, I'm so grateful to say that because I grew up, like, when I was crying and I was moving and I was sad to leave my family, I was like, it's sad tears, but it's almost happy because I would not be sad if I didn't have such an incredible and amazing family. And that is literally, like, how it feels. Is I'm just like, I would buy a tiny home and put it on my parents' property and live there literally forever. But I try and think of it realistically, and I'm like, I don't want to have regrets when I'm later in life about, like, I didn't do anything on my own, and I think that I will. And, you can have regrets about anything, but I just feel like I do need to be out, and I think that's where it comes from my parents. It's like a loving place of, like, they want me to experience things. But I feel like with the job I have, I just have experienced so much already, and I know there's so much more to experience, but it's weird. I've spoke to a friend that does, like, very similar to what I do online, and they say the same thing. They're like, since we were like 16, 17, we were out in LA, we were out in Vegas, we've gone to New York, we've done all these things, and I'm so grateful to say that. But then when you hit the point of, like, all your other friends are, like, getting into their adulthood and getting into their, like, now lives, and you're like, shit, I feel like I've already done all this, and I feel like I already have my life, but it doesn't feel purposeful. It's weird. So, mental breakdown to the max. I'm, like, shaking, hugging my knees, rocking back and forth, praying to God. Like, God, please just show me what to do. Give me a sign of what to do, where to go. It was just a very lonely feeling. Very, very lonely. And I think that's the side that I've talked about on here before of what I do. And it's very similar to anyone that feels lonely, but more specifically, I think kids that didn't go to college, or even to, like, athletes that got drafted out of high school and they go and they're, like, playing with 40-year-old men and stuff like that, like, immediately. You know what I mean? It's just you're in a different, your lifestyle is different than most around you, and you feel like no one really understands it other than people, I guess, for me, like, in social media in the exact position. But most of the people I know on social media have boyfriends, girl-wise, or they have friends. So it's just like I said, it just felt so lonely. And then I was like, okay, if I'm never going to go home again, I need to buy something, because the biggest piece of advice I get financially is, this is just like a known thing. If you don't have money, or if you have the money to potentially buy versus renting, you should buy something. Like, that's just kind of a known thing, because when you rent, you're, like, throwing your money away, quote unquote, essentially. But in this economy, mostly everyone has to rent. The thing with me, though, buying, I'm like, I don't fucking know if I want to live here. Like, I don't fucking know if I want to own a place in my hometown. So it's just like, then I'm going back and forth of like, okay, I have all these older people in my ear being like, don't rent, you're gonna, like, you're wasting your money. And then I'm like, but do I want to live here? Like, shit. And two, if I buy a place, I want to be jumping up and down excited. I also want a husband with me when I buy my first home. Yeah, so I was just like losing my fucking mind and trying to figure out my whole life's plan in this hotel room with all of my belongings in my car. And I was just like, also, I've been working on this new brand. Okay, so it's this new brand. It's basically clothing, but it's like a spin-off of what my merch has been, except it's supposed to have like more meaning and be more brandful. And I feel like I feel more connected to it than I do like most merch I've done on SadieCurl.com. I was working with a company on it. And of course, like during these past 3 days of like trying to freaking go to Georgia and like not having a place to live, and I'm not on my computer, I'm not answering emails, to where literally I just had to cancel it with these people who I've been working with. And I felt so bad, but I was like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't be on my computer, I can't do anything, so like just erase everything, like it's fine, we're not gonna do it. So then I'm like stressed out because I'm like, oh my god, I don't have any of that stuff going now. And it was just like, it felt like everything was like the next after the next after the next just falling apart, like just crumbling down. And like I just felt so lonely. And I feel like in those moments, like I have a lot of faith, and all I really do is just talk to God. And that's why I do say to people, like, if I can promise you one thing, it's that God is real, God loves you, and God is there for you, and he's accepting of everyone, and he like, you are not alone if you have God. And I don't, like, it's just such a thing where when I'm in those moments of like having no idea what I'm going to do and no idea what to do and feeling so alone, like I do crash out hard. And I don't know if it's something that like maybe I need to go get my mental checked, but I crash out really hard. And I don't think it's anything abnormal. I think it's just like some people feel a lot more deeply than others, and some people overthink a lot more than others. And I don't think I need to take like a fucking pill to make me feel differently. I think it's just normal human being stuff. And that's why I talk about it, because I do think it's normal. And I think that like other people going through it, you're fine and you're okay. You're not alone. I try and tell people that all the time. Like everyone feels lonely at times. Everyone feels sad. Everyone feels like they don't have a purpose, because I think our purpose here is literally to love one another. Like I flipped to this page in the Bible, and it was Cecily's ECCLE. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm actually going to go to it right now. Okay. ECCLESIASTES. Even if you don't believe in like the Bible or God, please just listen to this, okay? This was the chapter that I had flipped to. It literally first says, everything is meaningless. The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. The next like little headline is wisdom is meaningless. Pleasures are meaningless. Wisdom and folly are meaningless. Toil is meaningless. There is a time for everything. And this is what stuck out to me the most. It says a time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. The next line, what do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before. God will pass to account. It talks right here. Riches are meaningless. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owners except to feast their eyes on them? I don't know. It just really, like, I didn't even know that this was like a chapter in the Bible to like talk about this stuff. And when I started reading it, I was just like, oh my God, like, I feel like this is literally God saying to me, stop worrying about the future. Like, I'm like, I don't know what move to make because I don't know what's actually smart, and I don't know what financial thing I should do because financially a smart person is going to tell me to do this, and then I don't really know if I want to do that though because of X, Y, and Z, and I'm touring this apartment, and yeah, I like it, but do I want to pay that much in rent when I shouldn't be? It was just like I was getting so stressed out over all this stuff and feeling so lonely and feeling so scared and anxious to where I then open this and it's like, yo, it doesn't matter. Like, let's remember like what life is about. It's not about this. It's not about what you have here or what, you know, how much money you have, how much money you don't have. It's not about that. It's about loving, being kind, and enjoying what God gives you. And that's the biggest thing I think that I have to remind myself all the time, and I've said it before. God will give you everything you need. Like, everything that you need, God is going to hand to you. And whether you're someone who is 40 years old and you're divorced and you feel so alone and you feel like your world is crashing down and you're like, oh my God, was that the right decision to get divorced? If it wasn't the right decision, it wouldn't have happened because God's going to give you everything you need when you need it. I wholeheartedly believe that. I really, really do. And so I kind of just took a breath. I calmed down. I made myself like, you know, really reflect and really like lay out my pieces and just be like, okay, here's what I have. Here's what I don't have. Here's what I know at the moment. Here's what I don't know at the moment. I'm going to focus on what I know and what I can do and let God control the rest because you don't want to be in control of what God's controlling. Why would you want to be in control of what he already has planned and it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. His plan is way better than yours and you have to trust that. You have to have faith in that and you have to trust it. So I slept in this hotel. The next day, I went over to a friend's house. Was able to like spend the day at their house, hang out there, and then I went and spent the night at my friend McKinley's house, was able to sleep there. She hasn't even been home and letting me stay there, so her family's awesome. I really appreciate them. Stayed the night at her place, woke up the next day, and I was like, all right, I'm going to wake up, it's a new day, and I'm going to go look at this last apartment building. I went in and I looked at it, and I was like, God, if it feels right, please just make it feel right. Let me know. I went in. I toured a few different things. I was like, okay, you know, this is cool. This is cool. I want to be in a safe community. I want to feel safe. I went and toured a different place. And the second place I toured, I had already toured. And the people were a little bit pushy. It felt like it was kind of like, oh, just get this one. Oh, just get this one. This one's my favorite. You should get this one. Actually, this one's my favorite. Get this one. This one's a little more expensive though. Like, such a salesperson thing. And then I went back to the other one that I had toured Monday morning. This was Monday, by the way. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Can I please come in here and take a video of the one I toured earlier? I forgot. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, let's go. So they bring me up and I just felt this sense of peace. Like, I was literally in there and the guy showing me was so kind and so just like quiet and respectful. And I don't like, this sounds so weird, but I was in the building. I was like holding my necklace like this. Like, I'm literally not even kidding, but put on my cross necklace the second all this stuff started happening. I was holding my necklace like this and I literally felt like the apartment building was like, pick me, like, please pick me. Like, the apartment I was in was like, please. It was kind of like this lonely apartment in like a quiet area that no one was really in. And it was silent, but it was just peaceful. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to make a decision and I'm just going to do it. So I left. I was putting in my application in my car on my phone. And I always like have my car. Sometimes my Bluetooth will come on randomly, but not really. I was in my car for 30 minutes applying. Randomly on my radio, this song starts playing by Bob Marley. Every little thing It's gonna be all right. I was like, that is so weird. Also, the apartment number was like stuck out to me. It like I'm obviously not gonna be like, yeah, this apartment stuck out to me. Here's the number. But like the apartment number was like kind of a sign for me, and I was like, wait, okay. So I don't know. It just worked out. Like it just worked out, and I just felt okay about it. And I've never felt okay about making a move like that. I'm always like, ugh, and I just felt okay about it. So I applied. It takes obviously like I think 5 business days to figure out if you get it or not. We're going to see if I get it, and if I do, we'll be living in Georgia for a little bit. So, honestly, round of applause that I finally made the commitment, because I'm literally the most indecisive person you will ever meet. But that was my story, and that's why I'm still living in my car. And I could go put all my stuff at the Airbnb. You're probably like, what happened to the Airbnb you were first renting? My brother is still there. I have like my dirty laundry there. I could go put all this stuff there, but I've been going so many different places that I'm having to pack my bag with these clothes. This bin is like probably like 80 pounds. I'm not even kidding. It's a heavy ass bin. Same with this one. This is all my bedding. There's another one in the back. It's all my like jackets and stuff. On top of that is all of my toiletries. And then next to that is a laundry hamper full of clothes. My workout equipment's in between. So I've just left everything in here because there's so much shit. But plans for this weekend is I'm supposed to go up to Nashville with my friend Delaney and go to a festival called Breakaway. And that'll be fun. After that, I'll be back here. And then I'm supposed to go to Boston with my mom. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that because I might be literally moving into a new place. But that's where we are right now. My podcast after UGA Bama weekend was going to be about that. And I guess I could talk about that. My camera's about to die, so I feel like I should end this. Maybe I'll do a segment of next week's about my UGA Bama weekend, because it was honestly so much fucking fun, and I literally left town with a roster of like 10 guys. I don't know why. I have a lot of phone boyfriends again. I never really did, but I wouldn't even say a lot. I think I've cut a lot of them off. I can't lie. I just get bored easily. But I left Bama with like 4 phone boyfriends and like 3 guys I met in person, and I was like, why did all these phone boyfriends hit me up when I'm in Alabama? Like, there's something about the Bama girls that they just love. But yeah, so that's my life right now. I'm going to go try and find an outfit for this Breakaway festival I'm going to this weekend, because I've dug through my shit, but it's been hard to like nitpick when I'm literally like reaching in bins. So yeah, there's a thrift shop in my car. But I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Thank you for always supporting me. And like I said, prayers to everyone affected by the hurricane. I'm praying for you, and it's going to be okay. I pray that God looks over everyone. I hope that Milton, everyone's fucking wrong, and it heads straight down to the middle of the ocean and doesn't hit anyone. Probably won't happen, but maybe we can push that into the universe. Okay, I love you. Bye.